What's up, G-Show Land, and welcome to another episode of the G-Show Podcast. I am G1, and this is a special edition of the Godzilla Block Party we like to call the After Party. Because here's the deal. Here's the deal, people. Alright, it's July 11th as of this recording, and earlier today, Toho had dropped what we wanted to happen. They dropped not only the title of their new Godzilla movie, but also a teaser trailer to it. 30 seconds of pure Goji goodness. Well, for some. For others, maybe not. But I loved it. We're not here to talk about that. We're here to talk about a topic that was really bothering us during the initial Godzilla Block Party that we recorded earlier today. And that is, why is this connected to Shin Godzilla? Because that was the word going on when that trailer dropped. And we were all confused, and you can totally hear it on the Block Party, on our review of the teaser. We are confused. Like, the majority of that podcast is us being confused and coming up with speculations on how can they do it. Like, for instance, I said time travel, because why the fuck not? But now it has been confirmed that there might have been a mistranslation. So, before we go any further, let me introduce you to my two co-hosts here with me right now. Starting with JR. What's going on, brother?
I am here at work, not using my good mic.
No, we can barely hear you, but it's okay. Like a cocaine barely hear you. Also joining me, my Sid from another crib, Gam Z1. Hello, and thank you for still hanging with us.
Oh yeah, I've been having a heck of a time with this whole aftermath shit. Oh, we'll get into it.
We will. We have been since, well, we didn't get to talk about this in podcast, so we might as well talk about it now. We have been ready since yesterday. We were hanging out yesterday till about, I would say, 9 o'clock my time, so it was about 10 o'clock your time. And it was like, yo, let's go to bed because we gotta wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning, well, my time, at least 4 o'clock my time, so we can see this trailer. And then lo and behold, the trailer didn't drop at 4. It did. a teaser to the teaser drop. It said, wait 8 more hours. So here's the deal, because I'm going to talk about a couple of things in this podcast that I didn't get to in the last one, because again, we were still confused. I was still bummed out. Oh, real quick. YouTube was the reason we couldn't get the live stream to go with sound. Apparently, YouTube had a thing. They went down, whatever the case may be. So yeah, while it said we were live streaming and nothing was coming out, even though we were talking, that wasn't on our end. So that's why we're recording this, so we can put it back up. And hopefully when YouTube straightens it all out, when the official trailer drops, we will live stream that. Hopefully we'll live stream more things anyway before that. But I digress. I had to throw that in there. We were up early this morning waiting for it, and then they said, no, wait 8 more hours. Which brings me to this weird random point. Toho wanted this to be for, America. Like, they literally said July 11th, but in Japan, that was yesterday. So by the time that this trailer dropped, it was July 12th for them. I respect that. I respect that a lot. It was like, we said July 11th and we were doing it for you. I respect that. It showed their willingness, at least in my opinion, it showed their willingness to, showcase Godzilla more to the States, not be as stingy with it, and say, yo, we set this date, we meant this date for you, not for us. I appreciate that. My only beef with that, though, is if, that December 1st release date that you're giving us when you should give us the 3rd like you have. I'm just saying November 3rd. Just saying, I'm not over it. I'm not over it yet, Gams. I'm sorry, Gams. I'm not over it. I'm not. It's going to take some time.
I'm not over it either. I wish it was simulcasted for Fandom Event 2. Like, what the heck? Why wait? Is it for subtitling? Are you dubbing the movie? Because if it's taking you a month to get it out, I mean, a dub would be nice.
A dub would be nice, right? I prefer the subtitles, but I wouldn't mind a dub. The Shin Godzilla dub is actually pretty good, so I wouldn't mind a dub. But okay, let's talk about why we're here, to basically correct something that we thought was completely off, and it's not. And that is, this movie absolutely has nothing to do with Shin Godzilla. Shin Godzilla is its own movie, it's its own entity, and it stands on its own two feet. This movie is just the follow-up to Shin Godzilla in the sense that it's just the next movie in line. I love it. Finally, some confirmation. We've got it figured out. So, Gams, how relieved does that make you feel?
Oh, I am so relieved. The imagination is back. The possibilities are back. There is no limiting this to this weird continuity that would only make sense with multiverse theory or time travel. All right? No, it's its own thing. It could be the kickstart of a Toho ran Monsterverse, and I'm here for it.
Super excited. JR, are you relieved about this news?
Beyond relieved. Because it's just like, when you sit there, and I don't like the Shin Godzilla the movie, but it just like the idea of trying to cram something into something else when it doesn't fit is just unnecessary, to say the least. And the very notion that Toho's just not going to be creative, it's like, oh, we're just going to ape off of what we already established, just merge them, is just ridiculous. It's time for Toho to live up to their potential now, as the Monsterverse may be winding down.
That's good.
So that's what I'm looking forward to now. The old is the old. Now we get to look forward to the new, and I'm excited.
I am too, and honestly, I am extremely relieved that it's not going to be a part of the Shin universe, only because, again, how do you cram that in? How do you make it work when there's no mention in Shin Godzilla of anything like this ever happening before? So that scared me. It scared a lot of people across the internet several hours ago. And now that it's been confirmed, okay, mistranslation. No, it's just the next movie, you know, that Toho's releasing under the Godzilla banner. Nothing to do with it. Perfect. Thank you. Okay. So again, where does that take us? Like Gam said, now we get to speculate. Now we let our imaginations run wild. Now, as JR just said, if the Monsterverse is winding down, Toho can take the reins and go back to doing what they're doing. Here's a question for the both of you, and I'm going to start with you, JR. How many movies do we fit into this new, if that's where they're going, this new Toho universe? Do we go Showa route? Do we do a Heisei route? Or do we do Millennial route? Even though I think the Millennium series, is that the same amount as the Heisei series? It might be. I'm not sure.
No, I think it had one movie less.
One movie less. Okay. So where do we go? How many movies? Do we do Showa, Heisei, Millennium, or more?
Honestly, I do 10. One movie each year for the next 10 years, then you go back to your break. We had the Monsterverse, we had Shin Godzilla, we had the anime trilogy, Singular Point. So I think this is Toho's time. They licensed it out in 2014. That was the American run. Toho could be like, okay, we're going to make 10 films for the next 10 years, then we're taking our 10-year break. We're going to do 10, 15-year break. I think that'd be perfect. Within these 10 years, do something you didn't do or let the Monsterverse do. Lead it up to your Destroy All Monsters. Do it. Give the Kaiju their solo films. Put Godzilla up against other monsters in some of these other films. I don't know. Do something. End it with Destroy All Monsters. Because, like I was saying earlier, kind of alluded to a bit, is like, respect the Showa series. You obviously want to do the Showa series again. Go ahead. Just make it the minus or the negative verse. I was saying something. Do that.
Yeah, we're going to get into that. I definitely want to touch on that theory in a minute. Gam, same question. How many movies?
I agree. 10 movies would be a nice round number to lead up to a big event like Destroy All Monsters. It leaves plenty of room for solo movies, for important characters. It leaves a lot of room for crossover versus movies with Godzilla, and it leaves room for that big finale at the end.
Yeah, I agree. I think 10 is a solid number. I'll be honest. The greedy version of me, I just don't stop making them, Toho. Just don't stop. I mean, what? From 54 to 74, right? 75. Was it 74
yeah, 54
or
to 75?
74, 75.
15 movies that just feature Godzilla, not counting things like Mothra, War of the Gargantuas, Frankenstein Conquers the World, and all that.
And Rodan. Yep. So in 20 years, we crammed 15 movies in 20 years. And then we did the 89 to 96. Then we had 99 to 2004. And then we have 2016. Yeah, no, you can do this. Like, I don't think it'd take 20 years. I think you can absolutely do a movie a year, especially if you do it like video games, you know. You have Toho in-house, right? Then you have one team doing this while another team's doing this. This way you can build your library and you can get them out with a decent quality.
Yeah.
And I've already said they've already established 3 models for this future franchise with Godzilla the Ride. They already have a Rodan model, they have a Ghidorah model, they have a Godzilla model. All they have to do is just start making other monsters like Mothra or Gabara or Hedorah or any of them, you know?
Absolutely. And I'll be honest, I would like to see some new creations. I would, hell, not even like, you want to do Megaguirus in the like in a Showa-esque movie? I'm down with that. Mothra versus Megaguirus. Yeah, sign me up. Sign me up. It doesn't have to be
Rodan
Petra
versus Megaguirus because the Meganula originated in the original Rodan.
I'm stuck on stupid. I love that idea. You out of your freaking mind. I just watched Rodan earlier today before everything started dropping. And there's baby Rodan. I wanted to say that before. I didn't say that. I want a baby Rodan in an egg. I want that toy. I want that. I don't know if they ever made it, but I want it. But oh my God, yeah, that's a genius idea. That's perfect. Yeah. If you were to do a Rodan solo movie, make it versus Megaguirus, I'm totally down with that. Which kind of leads credence to what you were saying, JR. If we're going backwards, what's your theory?
So, you start at 0, and it kind of, I know it was a teaser, but it makes sense. They went from 2016 Shin Godzilla all the way up 54, and then this movie. This movie's the -1, right? All alluding to the the bombings as the 0. So, you respect the Showa series. Toho's like, okay, we want to have our own MonsterVerse. Obviously, we're setting it back in the 40s. We respect the Showa series. We don't want to remake it. So what if we just make it a different universe, but in numerical sense, go backwards, like Godzilla -0, or -1, or -2, with these different, not necessarily name them that, but you set the precedent in this first movie. Hey, we're going back, but we're doing this for the next few years. We're making our own MonsterVerse. We're keeping it in the past, but we're not remaking the Showa series. But we're gonna keep it in that era.
Yeah, like the next movie would be in the chronological next movie would be in the 50s.
And it would be technically in this 0-verse, -1. They don't have to call it that, but we get it. So what they could call this new series of films, instead of doing it by era, the 0-verse.
I was thinking it just now. I was thinking the -verse, but I love the 0-verse. Because I really wanted this movie to be called Godzilla 0. I really, really did.
Yeah.
But Gojira -1 is really, really growing on me. And it's only been a couple of hours, but I'm really loving it. Jesus. Oh, yes.
I like that. I like that idea because it shows that they're not remaking what they've already established. They're doing something new with it. We don't, and that was the biggest thing. Like, oh, they're doing a Godzilla movie in the 40s. Are they just remaking 54? Yes and no. It's its own thing. It's set earlier for one, and it seems to be doing its own thing. If they keep that design of Godzilla throughout the films, yeah, let's go. It shows that they're just trying something new. And in all honesty, it's something the MonsterVerse could have been capable of to an extent, but Toho, every monster has a price tag, so let them do it. Fine, be greedy, keep your monsters. You can have your cake and eat it.
I absolutely love the idea of calling it something other than like you said, the whoever the reign, the prime minister or the faction reign is. I like the idea of calling it like a Zero verse or the Minus verse, because it does work instead of calling it Toho's Monsterverse. We got a Monsterverse already. The Minus verse, the Zero verse. I absolutely love this idea. And it fits. It fits in Japanese archetypes, whether it's with manga or anime or even Godzilla movies. I mean, GMK is like a super long ass title. We just abridge it to GMK. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's crazy. So I love it. It fits. It fits perfectly, especially if we're going back in time and starting, from a period piece and then work your way up. So, question to you, Gams.
What's up?
The question that I have to you is, if our end goal is looking at, let's say, destroy all monsters, right? Do we do it like Showa did it and say the year is 1999? You know what I'm saying? Or do we, hang on, or being, let's say it's 10 years later, and at this point in time it'd be 2033, do we say the year is 1999? Because we've lived it. We know it. And now 1999 has become a fucking period piece. What do you think?
Yeah. I definitely go with the period piece. The year is 1999. Make Japan and America and all that, because the Destroy All Monsters is always a worldwide event. Make the architecture and the culture reflect that time period. Have some people paranoid about Y2K.
Oh my god. Could you imagine if it was like King Ghidorah? Look, I'm just saying. I'm just saying. I'm throwing it out there because, oh my god, now see you. Oh man, you're opening up the possibilities even more. You're making me crazy, Gams. You do that a lot, Gams. I love you.
I do it a lot.
I love that idea. I mean, because honestly, I would do that. If we're gonna period piece this, then we period piece this. I would love to see the 80s involved, and like you said, and I didn't even think in that terms, but involve where we were, everybody as a culture. What were the cultural things going on? What was happening in the world at this time? I love Destroy All Monsters because they showed us a different version of the future, but it was the future. We weren't there yet. Now, if we go back and we remake these movies and we want to do it kind of real time in the terms of we can make these Showa movies now and we can actually date them the right way. Oh my God, yes. What will we see? The idea of Y2K is genius. It's genius. Honestly, matter of fact, you know what? You stole that. I stole that. I stole it.
That is your idea now.
No, that's not my idea. I just that's from Godzilla 2000, the novel, Random House. The Y2K.
Oh, yeah.
And
I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, and it was King Ghidorah. So I would totally buy that. Because my thing is this. In a Destroy All Monsters setting, right? As much as I love and respect the original movie, you gotta have it where it's literally destroy all the monsters. Like, it just can't be everybody versus King Ghidorah like an Avengers movie. You got to have things available that's on King Ghidorah's side. You need a Gigan. Hell, you need a Megalon. You need a Megaguirus. Hopefully he's dead when Rodan eats him. But you need these background characters. And then, to get real frisky with it, King Ghidorah is not the main villain. It's your main man Baggin. You know it. I know it. We all know it. We want it.
I mean, it would be as good a point as any to finally give Baggin a movie career, all right?
Could you imagine this? It's Destroy All Monsters. King Ghidorah and his legion of fucking monsters, alien monsters, come to Earth. They start to decimate it. In a 1999, 2000, Y2K, New Year's Day brouhaha. It's the end of the world legit, right? The Aztecs called it. It's not 2012. It was 2000, whatever, right?
Yeah.
And as the Earth monsters are rallying and King Ghidorah, his minions are falling by the wayside, all of a sudden there's this blinding light. And two of King Ghidorah's heads go flying. And there's Baggin right there in the middle. Bloody horn. Like, what are you doing, you idiot? It's basically Megatron and Starscream. I want it. And I fucking want it now. Now I want it. And I will settle for nothing less. I'm probably going to be dead by the time this all happens. So it wouldn't matter either way. But, oh my God, that to me would be something epic. And then this Baggin just crushing everybody. And then it just comes down to Godzilla and Baggin. And it's like, let's go. Man. Huh. I hate scripting these things out, man. Because that's what I want.
Right?
J.O., what do you think?
I like it. Like I said, I'll be curious how it plays out. Personally, Destroy All Monsters, I like the idea of that being the final, because that's what they had. Final Wars was the 50th anniversary, kind of Destroy All Monsters type thing. Maybe not have as much karate, and
maybe actually have some build-up other than, oh yeah, this is a movie where like everything takes place all at once.
Yeah.
It's so good. That's the campiest movie in the entire series. It's so good.
Well, and it's curious too because we're literally pushing 10 years of the MonsterVerse as well. And something I was thinking about, like, that's next year in May. Is when 2014 is about to be 10 years old.
Wow.
Yeah. So it kind of does make sense to have a Toho Godzilla movie coming out this year, slated for the end of this year for us in the US, and then the MonsterVerse's final film come out next year. Which is weird because of the Godzilla TV series. I don't know where that falls. I'm not going to pretend to know, but it kind of makes sense because at the end of the day, these two universes going at the same time. I mean, would Toho really want to compete with itself? You know what I mean? I mean, it doubled the money, but
here's the deal: do we see these movies here in the States? That's another question, a really important question, because we can definitely see Godzilla 0. Or -1, Godzilla -1. It's coming out. We'll get it, right? We got Shin Godzilla. But think about it. Before Shin Godzilla, it was G2K with a wide release. Shin Godzilla was a Fathom release. I'm pretty sure that Godzilla -1 is going to be a Fathom release. I got to see Final Wars in theaters. But it was a very limited, it was in an art house. It was an art house, but it was official. Like they actually had a subtitled copy and we got to see the movie. I already seen it like 15 times, but it doesn't matter. We got to see it in the theater. Does this Toho verse, this Minus verse, does Toho brand it across the globe every single movie? Because I think that yearly might bring diminishing returns. But it also depends on how much money Toho is putting into these movies. So what do you think, Gam Gam?
Okay. Here's what I'm thinking, and you're gonna call me crazy for this, but here's what I'm thinking, right? The movie comes out in Japan. It has a theatrical run in Japan. We have a Fathom event for these movies a month later, just like what's happening right now. Funimation scoops up the movie to dub it and put it on Crunchyroll within like 3 months, and then we get a Blu-ray release from Funimation.
Okay. I'm mad at that at all. I mean, I'm pretty sure we'll find it and see it already, but I'm not mad at that at all. In all honesty, could you imagine an untouched, and by untouched I mean not Sony touching it, an untouched Toho Monsterverse that we can get in its original form with dubbing or subbing that is more pure to the original intent than, let's say, the Sony, because you know they got like 2 different versions on the Sony Blu-rays, and I don't get it. I just go with the Japanese sub, whatever. I don't go whatever with the Sony sub, whatever it's called. But could you imagine we get like a legit that brings me back to when I was getting these movies on VHS bootlegged, and that sub was the only sub. Whoever was subbing it was trying to be as accurate as possible, and I respected it. But could you imagine we get that? I mean, JR.
So like you're saying, like Toho themselves just distributes it on Blu-ray themselves without any other distributor, like third-party handout?
Oh, no. You know what? Now that I think about it, I forgot. You said Funimation, which is owned by Crunchyroll, which is owned by Sony. So, so Sony's still going to have a say. Frack.
I mean, that's what they did to Shin. That's what they did with Shin. They had Funimation dub and put it on Blu-ray.
Yeah, that was before Funimation was owned by Crunchyroll, though.
That's true.
Yeah, so...
Well,
yeah, go ahead, JR.
This could all also fall into that whole maybe the MonsterVerse is starting to wind down thing. Who's to say Legendary won't pick up distribution after the MonsterVerse ends from them? I mean, they still have contracts regardless. I mean, Legendary's still going to want money. And if the MonsterVerse is going to wind down, who's to say Legendary wouldn't just be like, hey, we can get it figured out. We can dub it, whatever, distribute it in the theaters or do the physical release in the States or worldwide if you want to get it outside of Japan. I mean, it seems like Legendary and Toho have a great relationship from what we see. Who knows behind the scenes? But I mean, why ruin a good relationship? Why call it quits, you know? More time than not, companies like to keep the ball rolling with familiar, especially when it comes to partnering. So that's an instance where, yeah, the MonsterVerse could end, but Legendary could distribute it to theaters from Japan, maybe dub it, do the subs. I don't know. It's an interesting thought. I'm not against necessarily Crunchyroll doing what they did with Shin Godzilla. It's not a bad idea by any stretch of the imagination. But my biggest thing is, in all honesty, I'd never seen a Godzilla movie in theaters until 2014. Like, that was my first Godzilla movie in theaters. You know, we never get them around here, and I kind of got accustomed to it. I mean, for fuck's sakes, I've seen Shin Godzilla in theaters, the most limited event. You know, I skipped Tokyo SOS and Godzilla against Mechagodzilla because those ticket prices were astronomical. But I like the idea of going to the theaters to watch these Godzilla movies, especially the newer ones, you know, and why not? Why not distribute them in the theaters? I mean, Toho makes the money, especially if they do Fathom events or work out a deal with Legendary like I stated. Who knows how much the cut would be, but I don't know, it's just a thought. And, you know, we'll see. We don't even know for certain if 0 or -1, -30 is even a Fathom event yet. We just know it's coming here.
That was my question next. That's exactly where I was going. That's crazy. I was going to ask, is it going to be a Fathom event? Is it going to be distributed by Legendary? Is it going to be distributed by Sony? Is Toho going to try to dip their toe into the Hollywood market and say, we'll distribute it ourselves? Are we going to get classic old school, Showa distributions? What was it? AAP or whatever it was back in the days, where there's like 50 different, dubbed versions. Terra Mechagodzilla Game was telling me he's on Tubi, and it's got the dub version where they explain Godzilla's origins. What? So, that's a great question, Game. What do you think? Like, Fathom event or?
I could have sworn the Forbes article said it was going to be a Fathom event. But I might have to reread it to verify that.
Forbes also got wrong the whole reason for this particular after party.
That is very true. Misinformation, my face win.
Forbes!
Hee.
Fake news, bro. Come on, you can't do that with Godzilla. What's up with you?
Come on.
They need to get their shit together, man. Like, ridiculous.
Well, they were on point with saying they were giving us a trailer.
Toho actually has precedent now for having their toes dip in Hollywood because they distributed the Monster Hunter movie here in America. Yeah, that movie was terrible.
Oh, shit.
But that's a thing. That happened. So, I don't know. Maybe Toho could get the balls to just do it.
I did not, man. Okay, so I won't lie. I seen that movie, through third parties because I was not paying for that piece of shit. Fuck. Get out of here with that poster. My brother loves that series, that game and shit. I was like, nope. But I did not know Toho distributed that here in America.
Well, and also, there's a flip side to it, too. So I found out recently, I didn't know you guys knew this. I'm sure I'm late to the party on it. Movie theaters don't make money off of Fathom events. They make zero profit off of Fathom events. They make their money during Fathom events off of concessions only. And I found this out recently at Regal Cinemas. I don't know if Fathom events go to AMC and stuff. I go to Regal because that's the most convenient to me, even though Across the Spider-Verse's prices weren't absolutely absurd. You're charging me fucking $16 a ticket, but I digress. So I don't think if Toho was to go Fathom event route every single year with every new Godzilla movie, I don't think the movie theaters would start picking it up because they're not making money. I think, like I said, it would just be smart for them to distribute it like any other film, especially if they're trying to make this presence here in the States. They're making a Godzilla store. We've got a head of Toho International or Toho America. We have someone that's in charge of Toho here in America now. It would make sense to just put it in theaters. It's Godzilla. I mean, why not?
Games?
Yeah, I completely agree. I was just looking up to see if they also had a hand in Detective Pikachu. And I'm not seeing much.
I know that was Legendary in Nintendo involvement with Toho. I know, I'm not sure, but that's another instance where, I mean, Nintendo, for instance, licensed out Mario to Illumination. Illumination distributes it here in the States and across the world, and then in Japan it's distributed by Nintendo, because Nintendo owns the rights. Pikachu, the same exact thing. Legendary makes the movie, distributes it worldwide except Japan, and then it's Nintendo. Why wouldn't Toho follow suit? Hey, Legendary distributes this movie except here in Japan where it's Toho. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It makes sense. Movie theaters make their money. Some money's exchanged. Relationships are kept good. Who knows? Maybe they go off on their own.
The question I have is
the thing of it is Godzilla, especially a Japanese-made Godzilla movies. One thing that general audiences are just going to keep on ragging on is the special effects, because factually Japan has a lesser budget than America does. And if these movies keep on getting wide releases, we might see diminishing returns because people are turned off by the lesser CGI.
Yep.
Which I would understand. But on the flip side, the MonsterVerse has made a pretty penny, and you know damn well Toho got a lot of that pretty penny. They got money for budgets now. They could. I mean, who's to say that they're not in touch with the CG artists and everything that do the legendary Godzilla films, you know, to do these? I understand that the Japanese film industry is a lot lower budget compared to Hollywood, but at the end of the day, I mean, who's to say they don't have a metric shit ton of money to make these big budgeted movies? And diminishing returns, yeah, I mean, that's happened every single era with Godzilla. It's always been diminishing returns. It's to be expected, and it's a shame because, I mean, who doesn't want to go see a Godzilla movie? I always go back to that, like, who doesn't want to go see a Godzilla movie? What?
Especially in today's generation, I think you'd be surprised. A lot of people probably don't, because a lot of people don't go to the movies. I mean, whether it's, you know, canceling people like Ezra Miller, which gives The Flash $55 million opening weekend, which is insane, or people not giving a fuck about Indiana Jones, or Disney, which gives that a $60 million opening, falling way far, you know, under expectation. Something like Godzilla, where the expectation's probably not as high, still probably wouldn't come close to what they think. When I'm talking about Toho, Japanese-based Godzilla movies. Because even if Toho does the distribution and it doesn't do a Fathom event, theaters will get money, but how long does Toho leave it in theaters? How is it marketed? Like, I go back to G2K. I go back to 1985. That was all over the TV. I'd see commercials all the time for Godzilla 1985. Godzilla 2000 was the same thing. You see commercials all over the TV.
Especially with the Rob Zombie Super Beast. I love that trailer.
Yeah, so it was there. There was marketing, though. You had Sony behind them with that. How did that work? Because I can't tell you because I wasn't alive then. But how did that work in the Showa era? Think about it. Biollante through Destroyer did not get any theatrical releases. Those went Biollante. Like, Biollante went straight to video. From King Ghidorah to Destroyer didn't show up.
Yeah, most of America didn't know that they were still making Godzilla movies until randomly a news article from CNN declared that Godzilla was dying, and everybody was like, what?
Yep.
Huh?
Exactly.
They're still making these movies?
Exactly. And so it's kind of weird. It's kind of like, it's iffy on that. Because you would think it'd be Fathom events, but if they're going to, let's say, do a movie a year for 10 years, are the theaters going to be like, yeah, we'll welcome you to make no money for us?
But here's another thing, too, is there is a Demon Slayer, a few Demon Slayer movies, and Konosuba, these are animes, movies, that came here to the States, played in theaters, and they weren't fucking Fathom events.
You should. Yeah. Oh shit! I thought they were.
Distributed by Funimation.
I'm pretty sure the Dragon Ball Super movie was also one of those things. Yeah. That was not a Fathom event.
Oh,
it was just
that Demon Slayer movie was in theaters for 2 months and they pulled it. That's how Toho does it. A month to 2 months and then pull it.
I would give it a month. I would honestly give it 2 weeks, maybe 3. Because I don't think it's going to generate that type of money the way Demon Slayer or Dragon Ball Super did, because anime is one of the biggest in the world. It's one of the biggest things people will consume. One of the biggest products people consume in the world. It's ridiculous what anime does nowadays. I can't see that happening for Godzilla as much as I want it to, you know, as a fan.
I mean, but like thinking about how much superhero fatigue everybody is feeling right now.
It's fresh, man.
It's fresh.
The breath of fresh air. Look, we're going back to the 40s. We get the classic giant monster Godzilla back in the 40s. I don't have 3 Captain Marvels. Why do we need 3? You know, just for the fresh air.
I just want Photon, to be honest. Just give me Photon. But I digress. It's not this podcast. I see what you're saying, but at the same time, is it really superhero fatigue? I don't think so, because you look at Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, and it's making buku bucks. Guardians of the Galaxy made buku bucks. Now, everything else kind of fell by the wayside this year. It didn't work. Shazam, anything from DC so far did not work at all in theaters. But like Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania, it didn't get to what, Guardians did or Spider-Man did. So it's rough. It's rough to say if it's really superhero fatigue. By the end of the year, we should know. Captain Marvel, I don't think is a good litmus test because people already hate Brie Larson.
Yeah.
So you have that going already against you. And I don't know what else Marvel has coming out this year. I think that's it. Whereas I know DC has Blue Beetle and then Aquaman. But yeah, with Godzilla, this one maybe. But you get 5 years in, and then it starts to look like the 60s, and it's double features. You know what I'm saying? And I don't think the country is going to be supporting that. I think most of the fandom would probably be dead. And I don't want to wish that on anybody, but a lot of the people in the show era they're either gone already or they're up there in age. Shit, I mean, like I'm telling you, I'm the next generation. That's why I'm worried. I'm like, damn. This shit go 10 years. I better cut down on the drinking. I better start doing some sit-ups. I better do some push-ups. You know what I'm saying? Like, honestly, I better get my ass into shape if I want to see these things. If I want to see the end of an era. So, and this generation is just built different. It takes people like us to take the younger generation to see these movies to get their imaginations flowing. The way I would sit down with my uncle on a Saturday. And he said, yo, watch this. And bam, it was a Godzilla movie. And then all of a sudden, I'm like, oh my God, this is awesome. What is this? I love this. The same way a 5-year-old Gamcam could go to the theaters and see Godzilla 2000 and be like, oh my God. The same way Godzilla 98 might have changed some little kid's life and turned him out to Godzilla. The same way in 2016, Shin Godzilla, because of some, Godzilla loving parent, took their kid to see it. The same way GVK could have changed the little children's minds. A great movie.
Yeah, I'm going back to that double feature. There's nothing wrong with that. Okay, those are awesome, and I wish that happened more.
Hashtag bring back the drive-in.
Bring back the drive-in.
Please.
Yeah.
I have a drive-in nearby me. And I'm just waiting for the day that they start playing like double feature Godzilla movie. I'm there. Never been to a drive-in. I'll go there to do that. Just like my grandma did back in the 60s,
like
70s.
Literally, if Toho wants to make it a kind of a niche thing, instead of a Fathom event, make this exclusive to every drive-in in America.
That'd be dope.
That still exists.
That still exists. Like 30 of them in the entire 50 states. 30 drive-ins.
As an alternative too, we do live in that streaming age, and that's where, Amazon. What was the one we watched? That really terrible Taiwanese.
The lake. Oh my God.
The lake. Yeah.
Do something like that where it's just, we're gonna drop it on Prime.
That's what Sid Kamen Rider's doing.
Yeah. And just put it on Prime. It's a good idea. Unfortunate that it has to be Amazon, but it'd be something. Because like HBO Max, they don't do stuff like that necessarily. Disney Plus does, but it's is Disney Plus still doing it?
No.
So it's just Prime.
Yeah, just Prime and Apple TV.
Yeah,
whatever you can rent or purchase something from.
Yeah.
So you can't do that with Disney Plus. Disney Plus stopped it because the movies, they keep their movies in the theater 60 days.
YouTube, I do believe.
Yep.
YouTube.
And Voodoo.
Yep.
So, if they don't end up putting them in there, streaming until physical releases are available is always a viable option.
And a limited time.
$4 to $6.
And a limited time stream. This is what I was saying back in Shin Godzilla days. If you're not going to put it out in theaters, then just drop it day one on digital. People will buy it.
That's how I bought Shin Ultraman not too long ago.
Was it day one though?
It was day one.
No, what I'm talking about was like Shin Ultraman. You just seen it. I seen that movie like 4 or 5 months ago.
Oh, well, yeah, I didn't see it in theaters because it was a Fathom event and I didn't have the means to go to Seattle.
I didn't see it in Fathom.
Spokane.
I kicked myself for that. I wanted to. I should have went. I didn't see the Fathom event. I saw it at home through third-party means.
Ah.
Yeah.
I see.
Yeah.
No, it would be a brilliant idea. If you get to a point where it's like, oh, we're only going to have it in theaters in Japan, drop it on Amazon Prime for a limited time, 14-day limited time
Absolutely.
event on Amazon Prime. You have 14 days to rent it and watch it. And then from there, you wait 4 months for the physical release, There's ways to do this over the course of the next however long this Zeroverse is going to go. I will never stop calling it that now. That is. I'm going to make this a thing.
You called it the Minus verse. I called it the Zero verse, and then I was like, the Minus verse guess makes more sense. But now you want to use the Zero verse? I want to use the Zero verse too. So do I.
Let's do Zeroverse.
I like the Zeroverse. I really
Let's
do.
call it the Zeroverse.
Zeroverse.
I'm still so mad that this is not called Godzilla Zero because it's the fucking jump off point. This is the jump off point. But I ain't mad either because again, Gojira -0 or -1. I love it. Listen to the way she says it. So good. All right, real quick before we end this. Quick thoughts on that trailer again. All right, Gam, your thoughts. 30 seconds of that trailer. What did you think?
Loved it. Loved the energy. Now that I know the context of the kanji, now that the American version has dropped, I love it even more. Godzilla design is peak. Can't wait.
JR, that 30-second trailer, man. Your thoughts?
Well, now that I know it has nothing to do with Shin Godzilla, I'm back to being excited. The despair portrayed in the trailer really makes me, because something I've always wanted is like a scary Godzilla movie, and it seems like maybe this will be it. It seems to be going for that darker tone for sure. Taking place right after the atomic bombs, and you have Godzilla. It's just like it's a bad day on top of a bad day, and that's what the series should do. A bad day on top of a bad day on top of, just keep it rolling all the way to 1999, and we're flying to the moon every day with the Moonlight SY3.
No, we're not doing that in this universe. We're not doing that. We're using real world experience from here on out because we've been there already. That's how you structure this. I love the trailer. I love the 30 seconds, and I love it even more now that I know that it doesn't have a connection to Shin. Not because I don't like Shin, it's because it didn't make sense for it to have a connection to Shin because Shin did not make mention of anything prior. It's its own thing, so I love it. I agree with JR said. I love the idea of a bad day on top of a bad day. And the idea, you see it in the trailer, specifically, where everybody's running and Godzilla's foot's coming down. If you look at that scene real quick, too, I looked at it a couple times. He kind of looks real thin. Like, his feet look kind of, they're close together. It's weird. He's like walking while he's tied up. I don't want to get into it because, again, out of context, but I'm just saying what I saw in the trailer. But the fear on the people's faces said enough. And I'm like, yes. I pray that there's only one monster in this movie. It's only got to be Godzilla. And I'll be honest with you. They can't kill it. They are out of options. This is it. They're done for. And then maybe Godzilla just says, yeah, I had enough, and goes on, he hibernates. Or if they're going to do a monster, maybe Mothra shows up. I don't want to get into that speculation. That's for another Godzilla Block Party for another day. That being said, JR, thank you for joining me for the after party.
Can't wait to get home and use my good mic.
Gabs, thank you for joining me for the after party.
Oh, always a pleasure. I'm so hyped now. so hyped now.
And I want to thank everybody out there for listening to this podcast. This is the Godzilla Block Party After Party. I am G1, and we are out of here. Peace.